Are you confident? Do you have consistency? How much conviction do you have? I'm Daniel Gomez, the confidence architect, a business strategist, keynote speaker, executive coach, and best-selling author. On the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, we will help you unlock confidence to create consistency and develop conviction. Together, we will discover the key that unlocks your confidence. Welcome back to another episode of the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, where we motivate, inspire, and we just add value to you all the way around. And I'll tell you what, this guy that's going to be here with us today, he's not just a guy, he's an amazing guy. I had the pleasure of sharing the stage with him live here in Texas, and man, he rocked the crowd. He spoke from his heart, and let me tell you, he has a saying that he said from stage that he quoted something that I'm going to definitely bring up in this episode because I wish more men thought like him. So let's no longer delay. Let's welcome on the show, the one and only Dr. Fred. Welcome, my brother. Woo! Come on in.
There you go.
I know who you are, man. Just introduce yourself to the audience of the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show.
Nice. Hey, great to be here with you, man. It was like meeting a brother from another mother. I know that's a common saying, but we connected heart to heart, and it's been great building a relationship with you,
man. Well, you're amazing. I'll tell you what, you came in and we were at this event. It was awesome, right? And we're there's this podium that we didn't want on stage, and I love Dr. Fred, right? Dr. Fred goes, I can move that by myself, and he did. I said, wow. And I said, man, so I got to give you preps. And for that, I got motivation from you. So I've been pushing myself harder on my workout. So just a little side note of that, Fred. So man, so let me ask you this, Dr. Fred. You're a chiropractor, you're a doctor, you speak now, you have a book that you're just relaunching and doing all this. What made you, I mean, you've had a very successful practice, and now you teach on, I don't want to shortchange you, but I'll let you correct me. But you have a book, you talk about mindset, but go more in detail. First of all, what made you want to be a speaker, and what made you want to write a book? And now you coach, other successful people to be even more successful. Tell us a little bit about what the heck got in your head that you wanted to do something crazy like that after being successful as a chiropractor.
Well, I'll keep this to 10 words or less and go through a lifetime in 10 words or less. But I knew as a young kid, I knew I was going to do something great. I had no idea what it was. So when I found chiropractic, it's funny because I was raised Italian Catholic in an immigrant Italian home. So we practiced religion on Sundays, but we prayed for everything. So I was raised with a relationship. I can't say I really bought into the religion. I'm not really one that likes to follow rules very well or be told what to do. So Catholicism didn't always register, not because there was rules, because I felt like some things didn't make sense. And there was I just gave a video on this morning, right in the very first chapter of Genesis, 1:27, you're created in the likeness and image of God. And I didn't understand, if that's true, and that's our foundation, then why are we sinners? And then I didn't understand, if we're created in the likeness and image, then why are we continually given guilt and shame through religion? Why would God create us in his likeness and image, give us free will, and then damn us to hell for eternity? Like, I didn't understand that. I had questions, and it's so funny. And I talked to my mom about this because she's 84, and it's like, Catholics don't read the Bible. They have certain passages that are read to them. And I just believed, I thought, well, if that's it, then some of this doesn't make sense to me. And so I continually questioned. And then when I got my 20s towards 30, I went to chiropractic school totally based on faith. I was pre-med. I was asking God, praying, what do I do? What do I do? And chiropractic school sent me a pamphlet. And so I threw it away. I'm like, chiropractors don't know anything. And I got another pamphlet, threw it away. Chiropractors are stupid. Got another pamphlet. And anytime I'm praying for something and something happens 3 times, I know it's God. So I went to chiropractic school knowing this is my life purpose on a pamphlet. I didn't even know what chiropractic was.
Wow. That was the calling. That was the sign that you wanted. So you start doing your practice. And what point, because I love what you talked about on stage. You were talking about just mindset and how you really help people that get stuck. So now you're in chiropractic, you've been successful in that. So where did the idea of writing your book, and what exactly do you coach on, Dr. Fred?
Well, let me give you a little bit more of the backstory, because the second verse that I really appreciated, should I just quote it? It's John something. When Jesus said, if you believe in me, you can do all these things and greater. And being a hands-on healer, I thought, I want to help as many people as I can live a healthier lifestyle through chiropractic as a healthcare system. So I have to become like Jesus. I have to be able to walk through town and have thousands of people following me if I'm going to be able to make an impact. And so that was the second one that I thought. And then because religion says, you can never be like Jesus, but Jesus says you can be like Jesus. I thought that was a contradiction. And my patients would come up to me and say, and this is going to lead to answering your question. They would say, Dr. Fred, you're always so positive and happy. You know what your purpose is. And I don't know what mine is. And there was a sadness that they would have. And I realized that when you know your purpose, and it's a God-given purpose, and your spirit's here for that reason, you're not happy. It's not an easy life, but it is a fulfilling life.
Yes.
And there's a difference between fulfillment and happiness, is a huge difference.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I agree with you on that 120%, because I think so many times we cross reference those. So give us your definition of happiness, since we're on the subject. Give us your definition of happiness compared to fulfillment. What's the difference in the two? And what's the biggest mistake that you think that you see in people that kind of put them together to say?
Because I think happiness is condition based. It's based on, are you happy with this situation? Are you not? You could be happy with yourself. Fulfillment is joy, and that's an internal state. Joy is an internal state. Happiness to me is an outside in approach. Joy and fulfillment is an inside out approach.
Oh, I love that. Say that again. So joy is an inside out approach, and happiness is an outside in approach. I'm going to give a boom, baby, on that one. This is the time of the episode that we tell you, get out your pen and papers, because Dr. Fred's going to drop some more wisdom right now here on the Daniel Gomez Inspires Show. And you retain a lot more information when you write it down. Your subconscious mind retains it. Your brain retains it. So write down, get your pen and paper, and take notes, because just the nugget he just dropped right now, you want to definitely write down more stuff. So happiness is from the outside in, and then joy is from the inside out. And what comes to mind with me when you said that is the scripture that says the joy of the Lord is your strength. And I love that, man. I love that. Fulfillment is joy. So let me ask you this. Were you not fulfilled in just the chiropractic, or what really pushed you out there to want to be a coach and a speaker now, which you're up and coming, you're doing amazing. You're speaking all over the country. And like I said, you bring in energy, you pack the punch, and you speak from the heart. That's what I really loved and connected you on that.
Well, there came a point where I wasn't fulfilled in practice, because I felt like my purpose was expanding, because I would have chiropractors come to me and want to know what I was doing. So I eventually started a coaching group. And then my second wife, while I was starting coaching, she was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer, as you know. And anyway, chemo radiation didn't work, long story, but 3 weeks before she passed, and this is what I was talking about in Laredo, she was taking a bath. We were planning her life celebration service, and all of a sudden she started bawling, like sobbing out loud. And I said, what's wrong? And she said, I don't know if I did what I was supposed to do in this life. And I had such an overwhelming, heavy weight of sadness. Yet in contrast, I was. And a very loud voice in my head right there said, I don't want anybody in my life to ever say that again. So after she passed, I began on this journey I wanted to know who God created me to be. I wanted to get rid of all my stuff, mainly because I just wanted to find the most amazing woman. Now I was divorced and then widowed, and I wanted to find my life partner, but I had to be the man that woman would want to be with. So as I started evolving on this accelerated rate, one day I was writing a 6-step rehab program for chiropractors I wanted to trademark, and the acronym HEALED fell on me. And then I started getting these visions. It's a spiritual, emotional healing system, and it starts with honor God within yourself. So to understand that we're divine first, that we are created in his likeness and image.
Yes.
And that Jesus came not to show us who he is, but to show us who we are. And Jesus came to fulfill God's plan, to fulfill a plan to enlighten the world. And so to me, he came in to show us that we are also here for a divine plan, that God is our partner. He's already ahead of us, that we can really believe that we are created in the likeness and image, and we listen to Jesus say, you can do all these things and better, that we can make an impact on humanity. And that's when I began writing the book, You Are More Powerful Than You Think.
Wow. I don't remember you sharing that on stage, but think about what he just said, ladies and gentlemen. I was able to have my wife live through that. So I can't imagine, because I remember just crying and being mad at God sometimes when my wife was going through her double mastectomy and the radiation and all that, which is involved with breast cancer. But I want the audience to hear this, because we have an honest man of God here that says that he lost his wife, and instead of becoming bitter and anger, he said, I'm going to use this for good for humanity and really go out there and share my message, because I don't want anyone else to say that he knows did I do what I was supposed to do while I'm here on earth? And that's a great question to ask yourself right now as you're listening to this, whether you're driving and you're listening to this on iTunes or iHeart, wherever you're doing and listening to this podcast right now, ask yourself that question. Are you just floating through life? Are you really living with purpose and leaving a legacy? Because like Dr. Fred just said, that woke him up to really say, I want to make a difference. So what happened next, Dr. Fred? Talk to me, man. I'm loving what you're saying, man. You got the acronym, you write the book. And what was the next level of, like, you're doing this, and what happened next for Dr. Fred?
Well, now that I speak about that, because Healed is 6 steps to raise your consciousness, made easy. It's easy. Just follow the steps. You'll discover your soul purpose. SOUL. You'll live who you're created to be, and do what you're supposed to do here on this earth. And that's what it is. And I find that many people, because when people ask me what I do and I talk about it, so many people, what feels like 80% of the population, I mean, it's a bigger percentage, they don't know what their purpose is, because what they did was they lived their life for someone else. They may have done what their parents wanted them to do. They reached for success. And the biggest barrier for fulfilling your purpose is success, because we chase things, we make our identity our success, we chase these goals, but it's not what we're supposed to do. Like maybe someone wanted to be an artist and their parents wanted them to be a doctor, and they may have helped many people, but the artist in them feels like it's dying. Yeah, because that's not why they're here.
I love what you're saying. Wow. It's so true, because I almost made that mistake. My son was playing football. Then he goes, Dad, I want to be in band. And me being the father, I wanted him to be the cool kid, the running back, and not the geeky kid to stay in band. And I really got convicted of that. God says, are you going to let him make the decision or not? And I think he would have been not as joyful and not the amazing Julian wouldn't be that young leader that he is right now, because so many times the life that we choose, it's not even the life that we want for ourselves. You hit it right on the mark. And right now somebody's listening to this and they're saying, I'm doing this because my dad wanted me to do this, or I wanted to walk in my dad's footsteps, or I wanted to do what my mom told me to do.
You want your parents to be proud of you. You do what it takes to gain significance with your parents, because you think that's what love is. But God's love is not that.
So what's the biggest, so somebody starts this journey, because I think they're going to speak definitely to somebody going through this right now. They're in a career, they're there. What are some of the symptoms or some of the things that you see when somebody is walking in a career or just that business that is not, we'll just say maybe your dad owned a bakery and now you're helping him run the bakery, but you hate it, but you're doing it because maybe the business is successful. What's the biggest symptoms that you see, 2 things that you see come out of that, and how do you overcome that?
Well, first I want to make a comment about your son, because that little geeky kid in the band that plays the horn ends up becoming Kenny G. He was a little Jewish kid in the band, right? High schooler, everybody thought he was a geek, and now he's Kenny G. And I don't know what the G stands for, but I bet it's a Jewish name. So, we never know what our calling for God. But the main thing is you look around. I would say this is probably one of the most common. You look around, you have great things that you are grateful for, and you feel like you should be grateful for, but you feel like there's that space or that void right in the center of your chest that says, I look around, I'm doing this, but why am I not happy? Why is there, you feel this pull or this space inside you that feels like something is missing. I'm supposed to be doing something else, or I should be doing something more, something that has more meaning, because it's coming from your heart. And that's, Psalm 37:4 is delight in the Lord, or delight in the Lord, and He'll give you the desires of your heart.
Yes.
So not the wants in our mind. Humans, as a human being, we're divinity, living humanity. We make decisions according to the wants in our mind, not the desires of our heart. The definition of a desire has a spiritual origin. And there's we need the spiritual maturity to know what the difference is. So we chase what we want and we give up our desires.
It's so much, it's kind of like they walk up or they climb up that ladder of success, and then they're to the top of on the last rung, and they're like, is this it? There's not
Yeah.
more to life. And then they realize that they climbed up the wrong ladder. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
We go up the ladder of success, and we're going up the ladder when in reality your ladder was over here, because this is what your calling was. This is what your purpose in life. This is what your DNA, your personality was meant for.
Yeah.
And I can tell you for myself that being in the automotive industry for almost 2 decades, I learned so much about just business. But that was really my heart's desire to open up a dealership one time. And when all this happened with my wife, it's like the light came on and God says, yeah, you're going to run a business, but you're going to do this other business right now. And I really never thought that I would be a motivational speaker speaking all over the world. And I can tell you that I love adding value to people. And I see what you're saying, because I see so many of my executive coaching clients that just, they're up on the wrong rung. And then it's to them, this is where they fall, because they're in entitlement. And for them to come all the way back down and start over, they don't want to lose that prominence.
Right.
Talk to us about that. Talk to us about that. What do you talk to that executive right now, or that person that's stuck in that entitlement position, and they've worked hard. I'm not going to dog it to get up there, but they're just not happy. Talk to that person if you don't mind. Look into the mic and camera and tell them something. Speak to their heart.
Well, what I want to do is tell a story first, if you don't mind, because I met a woman that came to me through my book locally here. And that's where she climbed the ladder in real estate. She owns properties, apartments. She doesn't have to work. She is a multi-millionaire. I provide for my kids, but she had to work. She didn't spend the time with her kids that she wanted to, but because we go out and we provide, because that's what we think we're supposed to do, and we climb the ladder, and then you get up there, and her son died of an overdose 2 years ago. And she thought I was up the wrong ladder. Because then you get it, and then you find out, maybe because your spirit knows. Your spirit doesn't care about the pain of your humanity. Your spirit cares about you coming to who you really are. Every spiritual being seeks consciousness, awareness of yourself. That's a capital S, of your God self, of your divinity. And whatever we have to go through in life, pain is not a variable. Pain doesn't affect. Your spirit is here to have a human experience, to evolve through your humanity. And whatever pain you have to go through for the evolution of your spirit, everything is celebrated in heaven.
Yes.
Heaven doesn't see sin. It doesn't see flaws. It doesn't see pain. It sees the evolution of your soul, of your spirit.
So I love what we're talking about. So I want to ask you this question, because I think it's a big problem, not just in real estate, in the real estate market, or with realtors or brokers, but why do you think, talking about the lady that came to you, and many, I would say hundreds of thousands out there, maybe even millions out there, we're so driven by performance. And when you're driven by performance, you're never satisfied. And then you finally, you reach what you think is the end, or that multimillionaire and they're still not happy. What do you think the problem is in when people, where do they get this mindset from that it's never good enough? And how do you stop
Well, I
that?
think never good enough. There's one thing. I think one of it's the way we're conditioned on how to receive love. And so a lot when you're kids, you get acknowledgement for good acts, for good achievements, whether it's sports or grades or something like that. And so then we learn that when I do something good, then I get acknowledgement, I get significance, I get certainty, I get loving connection. And Tony Robbins talks about these 6 human needs. And we get subconsciously wired that achievement equals love for ourselves and from others when we get significance. So that certainty and significance, they're lower human needs. Now, love and connection, when we get love, we feel connected, we get love, we get accolades. So we actually get conditioned to achieve. And then we're raised with comparison and competition. So where the physical world is based on what you do, not who you are.
I love that. Wow. So what you're saying, so let me recap what your Dr. Fred just said. This is some wisdom for y'all to share right now, especially if you're out there and your kids are just, maybe they're not responding to you. Maybe they're being a little bit rebellious because they're like, hey, mom and dad, that's not what I want to do with myself. Is we're conditioned that when we get first place at the bike rodeo as kids, we'll just say the bike rodeo because that's it. Or we go into junior high and we start playing volleyball or basketball as a youth and we win, we get the high five, we get the great job, we get the hug. So we're still being hardwired and that's the programming that we get. And maybe we don't get that recognition if we don't win those volleyball games or those basketball games, or if we don't get first place in the bike road, or to say if you're that competitive dad that was hardwired that same way, instead of just receiving it by grace and being that parent that just says, you know, son, you know, daughter, I just love you because you don't have to do anything, win anything, just receive my love through grace. And I think that
Yes.
that's where the biggest barrier is right now, why so many people are unhappy, because they're striving, right? The word comes to mind is they're just striving and striving and they never find that place of peace within themselves. And I see many business owners that way, especially young entrepreneurs. I think the biggest lie, I know, not the one of the biggest lies we've been told is you got to rise and grind. And who wants to grind, right? Who wants to, that doesn't even sound like something I want to do. And I had to get away from that because you hear so many people that are influencers say that. And I think, you know, that's one of the things is I had one of my friends that I spoke to, he followed an influencer. I think it was Gary Vee's formula. And he had a anxiety attack because you're not conditioned to work 16, 18 hours a day. I mean, that's exactly what's killing our youth or killing our society right now, because they're not receiving. And when you learn how to receive, yes, you got to do work. I get that. I understand that. But what happens if you really put God first as your CEO, right? For me, it was when I made God my CEO, then I put my wife and then my family and then business. We just exploded from that point forward. And it was just because God opens up windows of opportunity and doors of opportunity.
Well, it's all based on love. Now, you know, another thing is, and part of the challenge with today is they make everybody winners. So it's cool that there's not winners and losers. The problem is if everybody gets a reward, which is good, but you didn't do your best. And so the thing is, to me, responsibility, it's not about winning or losing. It's did you set a standard to be your best? Did you set a standard to be all that God created you to be? And if you go out there and you do your best and then you don't win that competition, whatever it is, you did your best. And even if you're slightly competitive, it helps you strive to be your best. And so it's more about setting a standard of excellence. You know, if you go out there and you do something, but you get a reward and you only gave 60% effort, you're only conditioning yourself that I don't have to try and be my best. I still get a reward. And that's part of the challenge with these younger generations is, you know, some of them don't want to work the same.
Yes.
And so there's a difference. It's setting a standard in your home that be who God, let's help you become conscious of who God created you to be, why you're here. Nobody else has to agree with your purpose. Nobody else has to understand it, but just allow that person to be free who God created him to be and set a standard of excellence.
So let me ask you this. We're so performance driven right now. How do we shut that off? How do we shut off that striving, and then we're burning the candle at both ends and we're never happy? How do you shut that noise off? How do you do that?
Well, and that's the other side. I had this on a video. We have gifts that are here for our purpose. So a person who's very determined, a person who has a lot of perseverance. What are the other side? Every gift has two sides. A person who's very determined is going to tend to be impatient. A person that has a lot of perseverance is going to push themselves really hard. And so the key to that is gratitude and presence. So the thing with determined people is we have a vision, we want to get there, but I may not be there today. And so I'd like to tell a very quick story, real quick, on how I learned how to be present.
Let's do it.
And when I was 40 years old, I was doing martial arts. I ended up having a martial arts injury, whiplash injury. A couple of weeks later, I tore my vertebral artery, the artery in my neck. And so it was clotting in there. And so a couple of weeks later, I had a stroke. I woke up, read my goals. All of a sudden, I couldn't talk. So I was sitting there. I'm a doctor, right? I'm assessing myself. I'm like, God, am I having a stroke? And then I couldn't talk. I'm like, shoot, I'm in the midst of a stroke. And I thought, am I going to die? And then the Lord said, no. And then I thought, should I call 911? And I'm thinking, if I'm going to die, they're not going to do anything. And God already told me I'm not going to die. So I sat there and prayed. And I prayed and said, Lord, I need my voice. I'm going to be able to have your message. I'm taking around the world. You have to take this away. I commanded, you better take this away. And anyway, I was supposed to meet my wife at the gym. So I still can't talk. I drove to the gym, picked up my wife, trying to tell her I'm having a stroke. We go to the hospital. Now about 3 hours has passed by, and they do a CT scan. And the stroke started about 6 a.m. and now it's about 11:30, so it was a little bit longer. And the nurse walks in with the file of the CT scan in her hand, and her mouth was wide open. It was physically open, and she didn't say a word. But by now I could talk. And I said, what's going on? And she said, you don't have any brain damage. I've never seen this. And it was a miracle.
Amen.
But I told God, you take it away. I have a purpose. When you are aligned with your purpose, you are protected. It doesn't mean you're not going to go through some stuff. I went through a lot of stuff.
Yes.
But it does mean he's going to carry you through the other side.
I love that, man. I love that. Thank you for sharing that story. I want to shift a little bit, kind of what I mentioned earlier. You said something on stage that really, really spoke to me. And I've had not a lot of debates, but I've had some debates on a book that came out here probably about, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months ago. Tim Grover's winning. And a lot of people on LinkedIn were posting these quotes. And I'm thinking, like, in my mind, I'm thinking, like, that's not good, because you're winning at the cost of your family.
Right.
And, Tim Grover references Kobe Bryant a lot, and you can tell he misses them. And I'm thinking, like, you're kind of bragging in the book in a sense, and maybe the word isn't bragging, but either way, whoever hears this, they don't like it, I'm just speaking from my heart. Kobe's there at 2 or 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning practicing, and he misses a shot and he stays there, he misses dinner, and to be the best and to be the best. And it's all in vanity. Think about where he's at now. He's gone. Don't you think Kobe's daughter and Kobe's wife would rather have said, I wish my dad would have come home, or my husband would have come home and spent time with me? At what cost are you going to put on winning? When do you say enough's enough, right? I'm a winner, man. I want to win. I want to be the best. I want to be that next level multimillionaire, and I want to be the best there is in the world. And I believe I'm one of the greatest. I'll go up against any speaker, right? Because I think I bring the energy, I bring the passion.
You're the greatest, you.
Yeah.
You're the greatest, Daniel Gomez.
But the way they bring it out in the book, it's just like, whatever it takes to win, and some people have it don't.
Yeah. Well,
Talk
let me
to us
make
about
a comment.
that. Yeah, talk to us about that, because I think what you said on stage was this, was that if I could go back and do it, I would have done things differently because of the first divorce that you got. And I think I respect you for that, because too many men won't say that. Their pride gets in the way. And I think that's why I fell in love with you as a speaker, as a brother. When you said that, I was like, Dr. Fred gets it. Dr. Fred freaking gets it. I loved when you said that, because to say that that was an error that I wish I could take back, a mistake that I made. I wish more and more would say that, because I almost did that. I almost lost my wife because I was a hell of a leader. We were making a lot of money. Our house was paid off. We had a lot of material success, but at the cost of my relationships with my wife and my kids. And it's dumb. I mean, I'm going to say it. I mean, what to me, it is what it is. It's dumb. And then for a book to come out and everybody's quoting it, and some of the stuff in the book is good. I don't get me wrong. I like some of the content in the book, but to say to win at all costs, I don't agree with that.
No. Well, and here's the end of that stroke story was when I came back from the hospital, I was reading my goals again because I'm a successful person. And a loud voice, like I'm speaking to you, said, just relax, you're already there. And I had a vision of walking down, metaphorically, like this yellow brick road, and everything I ever wanted was falling in my lap. And then I realized I was running over people to prove myself to myself.
Say that again. You were what?
I was running over people in my life to prove myself to myself.
Somebody needs to hear that right now. I don't know who that is for listening to this episode. Maybe you're watching on YouTube, but think about what he just said. You're trying to prove something to yourself. How crazy is that?
Well, I had to have a stroke to learn that lesson, to come into presence and be in joy. So I hope that you learn it, because if you don't learn it, something devastating will happen. Fortunately, God protected me, meaning it was supposed to be a lesson that I was supposed to deliver. And fortunately, here I am still talking, but that's it. And when you're talking about climbing that ladder and being on the wrong rung or the wrong ladder, and it's not that it's wrong, it's just a stage in your life, but know when to get off. And that's the problem with success. A lot of times we're trying to prove ourselves to ourselves.
Man, I think if there's a big takeaway, stop trying to prove yourself to yourself. You have nothing to prove to anybody, especially yourself. Just learn how to receive by grace and know that right now, without doing anything at all, you are loved and accepted by God. Let me say that again. Without doing anything at all, that's where the grace of God comes in. You are loved and accepted without doing anything.
Yeah.
Just by being.
Well, and one thing I learned from my wife taking her last breath is we we only have one thing in life. At the end of our life, there's only going to be one thing that matters, and none of it will be success. It will be, how did we love? That's it. And when you can live every day with, how did I love today? You're going to have an amazing life, and success becomes automatic.
I love that. Let's shift a little bit here. So what makes Dr. Fred unique? What makes him distinctive? What makes Dr. Fred that boom, boom, baby? Come on. Like, what makes you stand out, brother? Talk to me about that.
You know, well, I'm very convicted to my purpose. However, I would say I'm no different than anybody else, but we all have our own purpose, and that's what makes us stand out. You are here for your purpose. No one else can do it. No one else can do it like you. The message, my personal stories are very unique, but the message of spirituality has been told millions of different ways. But if at this time, and those stories and this podcast can shift your mind and help you move from your mind to your heart, then that's how we are all unique. Because if you're listening to this and anything that we said may shift your perspective on who you are, why you're here, and how you will love, then that's what's unique, is the experience that we all come together. And if you're listening to this, and I go back to what that voice in my head said many years ago, I don't want anybody to ever say they didn't know how to fulfill your purpose. So now if you're a listener, we have a relationship. And so now it's all of our responsibility to guide you, help you fulfill it, and then we add to each other. And that's what's unique about all of us.
Wow, that was pretty awesome, man. I love that. You know, Dr. Fred, you've overcome a lot of adversities and to get to this stage in your career and your life. And I love the wisdom you're dropping. What has been one of the most challenging encounters that you've had in your life, whether it's the loss of your wife or just your business, whatever it may be? What has been one of the most challenging times of seasons in your life, and what did you learn from that, and how did you overcome it?
Well, I think we already talked about it. I mean, you know what it's like to own your own business. I mean, I've owned my own business for 33 years. So to be an entrepreneur for over 3 decades, man, how many challenges have we been through? You know, how am I going to pay my bills? Where's my rent going to come from? Moments of, I love my bank account. Otherwise, I'm stressed about my, life changes, right? People quit, blah, 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 blah. And all of that is minuscule compared to watching my wife take her last breath. Because what it taught me was if someone crosses my path, whether they say it's a season, a reason, or a lifetime, whether it's 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 years, or 50 years, can I add something to their life that would make them look at themselves or our relationship in a way that leaves them with something positive? And if that becomes my primary core value, to add to people's lives, whether it's 5 seconds, 5 minutes, or 50 years, you're going to have a great life. When our anatomical eyes close, we may realize our spiritual eyes have always been open. So if I can see through my spiritual eyes now, through the eyes of God, even if it's moments, if I can do it moments that maybe I can turn it into a life, then the world will be a different place because we lived.
Awesome, man. I want you to do me a favor right now. Look in the camera, speak to that person right now that needs encouragement. They're that entrepreneur, that business person. They're thinking about giving up. Maybe something just tragic happened in their life. Speak right now what God puts in your heart. Take about a minute or so and speak into that camera and encourage them, please.
You're creating the likeness and image of God. You're perfect just the way you are. You're here for a purpose, and every challenge has a gift. When you find the gift, you get to release the pain. So every challenge gives you 3 things. It either gives you courage. I look at my wife passing away. I have the courage to love unconditionally and not be afraid of being hurt. It gives you faith, because sometimes that's all you have when the problem in the world is so big that all you have is faith. And if you believe in your heart, you do not doubt, and you say a word, you can cast the mountain into the sea. So the question, are you speaking about the mountains, or are you speaking to the mountains? Because you are divine. You can speak to the mountains and cast them. There's nothing in this world that's bigger than he that's inside you. And when you believe that, you can overcome anything. Or it gives you skill. It gives you courage, it gives you faith, or it gives you skill. When business strategies fail, you have to learn a new skill. And it's leading you in a new direction. Trust me, the first time I had to speak in public, I spoke to 3 people. I had diarrhea all day. Now I do it for a living. So each challenge gives you courage, gives you faith, or gives you skill. When you can identify what that gift, what that challenge gives you, you find the gift, you release the pain. It makes you stronger. It connects you more with yourself. Your purpose becomes more clear, and you just got set up for the next level of what you're supposed to do in this life.
Wow. Boom, baby. Man, I'm telling you, you're bringing the fire today, Dr. Fred. Thank you so much. And as we're coming towards the end of our show, let me ask you, what's a scripture or a quote that you lean on during times of adversity when the road starts to get a little windy or the heat is turned up in your life? What's a quote or a scripture you lean back on to give you encouragement?
Well, actually, I believe I showed you this. It's a tattoo that I got when I was 60 years old, my first tattoo. Matthew 19:26 says, with God, all things are possible. So I put that because if God goes before me, then nothing can come against me.
Wow. I love that, man. I love that. What an epic episode today. Thank you so much for spending time with us. If our audience wants to connect with you, where can they find you, Dr. Fred?
Well, Facebook, Dr. Fred DiDomenico, and obviously Instagram. Also, go to You Are More Powerful, spell it out, YOUARE, morepowerful.com. And we have a whole online system. If you want to discover, tap into your innate divinity, clear the pain in your past, find, live, and fulfill your soul purpose. There's a whole system on there. And if there's any way we can help you, if you just Google me, go to YouTube, anywhere you can find out how to contact me. I welcome all the relationships that are divinely given. So don't hesitate to call or contact me.
What an amazing episode today, ladies and gentlemen. And my big takeaway is, man, this is some good stuff, right? Stop trying to prove things to yourself. Stop trying to prove things to yourself. Get out of your own way. That was some great wisdom today. And this has been a great episode. If you feel stuck in life or business, reach out to me, Daniel Gomez Inspires, with our Shield of Faith business coaching. If you're stuck in business, if you're stuck in life, go to www.danielgomezglobal.com and send me a message to there, or you can text the word confident to 26786. That's the word confident to 26786. And we'll give you our free training, 7 Steps to Fly Daily, to help you get unstuck. But we love to serve you and help you in any way we can through our executive and business coaching. And that's a wrap for this week's episode. We'll see you next week here on the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show. Woo! Thank you for joining us, everybody. This is Daniel Gomez, and thank you so much for tuning into our show today. We'd love your feedback. Please drop us a comment, and thank you for leaving us a review. Don't forget to subscribe to our show and share this episode with a friend. And my free gift for listening to our show today is a copy of my best-selling book, You Were Born to Fly. To get your free copy, go to DanielGomezInspires.com and get your copy today. That's DanielGomezInspires.com. And to elevate your life and business even more, follow me on social media at Daniel Gomez Inspires on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Together, we will discover the key that unlocks your confidence.